So we're back. This is the final review, well, the final review before I actually get to shoot it, whenever that'll be, of the EP Armory or the EP80. This is not Polymer 80, this is EP80 or EP Lowers. It's now known as EP Armory. Alright, so what I did is I finally got my lower parts kit in. I ordered it from Palmetto State. It is a P-TAC and I got it for about $36. I'm going to tell you what are the pros, the cons, and everything with this, and then also I got a couple questions for you guys. So first, let's talk about just the general process. First, if you were doing this with a lower that you purchased previously, such as one from Aero Precision, or you had some up, the lower parts kit, man, it should 15 minutes. It would be 15 minutes and you're done. This is the first one I've ever done, and it was a little daunting at first, and I really didn't know what the heck I was doing. So I took an incredibly long amount of time just to figure out how everything worked. And it was actually a good learning experience because I understand the AR a lot better now. First thing when we talk about this is my idea of the ARs are they're not safe queens. They are meant to get thrown around and beat up and roughed up. So if you are too scared to bang on it with a screwdriver or whatever the case is, or to get a scratch with it, then I don't know why you got an AR to begin with. This needs to be thrown around just like you would in any case. That would show me that it's a very good rifle, that you can throw it around, beat it up, pick it up, and fire it, and it still goes bang. Alright, so first off, let's get into this. This took me a really long time. Probably it took me about a good 10-12 hours of frustration. My hands hurt to high heaven, and I'll explain why. Alright, so first, let's take a look at some of these holes that you have to cut here. First off, you'll notice that I have a nice nail sticking in here. The pin that came with the P-TAC did not fit this at all. I tried the pin for the Aero Precision, the New Frontiers, and I still couldn't get the sucker in. I don't have the right tool to drive it in there, so I just grabbed a nail and I threw it in there for now. I have to figure out what I'm going to do with that. The mag spring and the mag release, I'll show you that in a second. Incredibly easy, incredibly awesome. Anything that you've heard as far as reviews where the mag sticks or doesn't release just by dropping out, total bullcrap. Awesome. Completely satisfied with it. Here is where it started getting hairy, and this is where I started getting really pissed. It was everything with the trigger group. So first off, this is a blemish. The blemish unit. So I don't know what that means as far as quality goes, like if what's off or anything. It's not like it comes with a sticker that says your holes are wrong. Two things that I had with this. The first off, these holes, and it could have been me drilling it, were not aligning for the hammer. So once I got the trigger in, which I'll talk about that in a minute, and I tried to put the hammer in, it wasn't lining up one bit for it in order for it to function properly. So essentially I just drilled bigger holes. You can see that right down here, it's ugly. It's not a big deal though. I'm going to fix it. I've already planned to Duracoat this. This one will be for my wife. You'll also see down here on this side how I drilled the hole bigger. There's the pin, and you can see the excess there. And that was just to make sure that the movement that I had to do with the hammer had enough clearance for the hole. Again, I really don't care about the appearance of it. I can always fix the appearance later, and nobody's really going to notice besides yourself that the hole is a little bit bigger. You're not going to be shooting on the range and go, oh, hey, your hole's bigger. It's just not the way it works. The main issue with this was on the inside. And I know this is going to be hard to see, so I'll try to get some better light in here. Let's see if this is a little bit better. Yeah, that's better. There we go. All right, so I made sure that we cut down this really well. You'll see that there's no black or anything inside there. It was just too darn tight, man. You are going to have to file it to get that trigger in. With the Aero Precision and with the New Frontiers, I just dropped it in. It literally just fell in, the trigger. This trigger, I had to sand it, and finally it came in, and it did take some pushing in there. And we'll talk about one of the questions I have for you if somebody can answer me with this, the one question. But you are going to have to sand it, so make sure you have some files or whatever the case you're going to use. Essentially what I did was I just made sure I lined up where that trigger pin is, and that's where I filed in the center, so that way I had extra room and things like that. So hopefully that makes sense with it. That was the most aggravating part because the trigger would not sit right, it would not sit flush, it would be tilted, and then all of that affects everything else with the mechanism itself. So that was a big problem with it. That is what took me the longest time. I mean, it took me forever to figure out what the heck was going on with it. I had to do that, and then when I finally got the hammer to line up right, it was another mess because I had to figure out, okay, do I want to drill a bigger hole or whatever the case is. If I had to do this over again, and I can't because I'm in Maryland, what I would do is I would drill little pilot holes first, very, very small pilot holes. I would drill it on one side and I would make sure everything lines up in your system first. So when you put your trigger in, when you put your hammer in, get the pins in, test it to make sure it's functioning properly, and then drill through very carefully the entire thing. So meaning I would probably take a drill bit, put it through the pin, put it through the hammer hole, and then all the way out the side and drill through it. That is what's going to probably give you the best results for it. Now again, this is a blemish unit, so I don't know what is off and everything. Granted, this is also the first time I've ever done something like this when I initially did it, so it could be user error as well. So it's an 80, guys. When you get an 80, you're taking on some of your own risk and responsibilities of screwing up the unit. Overall, though, I'm pretty happy with it. So let's do some quick function tests, and then we'll mate it to my Colt upper, and we'll see how this goes. So if I'm going to have to put down this my phone, I apologize. It's all I have to film right now. So here is the issue that I have with this, and I tried this on. I don't know which one I tried on, the New Frontier or the Arrow. I did it so many times that it didn't work. I don't know what works and what's supposed to. So if you hear it, okay, it's clicked. Now, what's going to happen is I'm going to try to do this without busting up everything. If you watch, I pull it back and forward, you're going to hear it click. Whoop, there it goes, okay? Now, when I pull, it goes all the way up, and crap, you don't want to let that happen with the hammer there, but oops, not a big deal. So anyway, if I do it again, and it's because I'm doing it with one hand, it's kind of funky right now. There it goes, click, and then boom. Now, the question I have with it is if I use my Colt upper, which is right here, and I'm not going to do it with this one, because I don't want to screw this one up. When I push that hammer down and I pull that trigger, it comes up in one motion. And I know with this one, it's not showing it. I'm not showing it well because I'm trying to do it one-handed. But when I pull that trigger, there it goes. See, one, and then boom, all the way up. And again, I did that which I was supposed to. I don't know if it's supposed to do that. That is the big question for it. And that's what I was having the hardest time with, is to try to get that trigger to work right. The biggest issue, though, that I had was it was just so darn tight in there, and that's what was causing some of the problems with it. So if somebody can get back to me on if it's not supposed to do that, or if it is, if they could have a suggestion with it, it might be that I have to get in there and file some more away. Whatever. All right, so the next thing is, I don't have a buffer tube for this, obviously, is the grip. The grip, I heard some people actually tap it themselves and then they screw it in. I just screwed the thing into it, and it's solid. It's really solid. The only concern that I have with it is if I have to pull it off, will I be able to put another one on there, and will it hold just as well? I don't know. The safety clicks really well. So if you see it here, I'll try to do this one-handed again. There's the click for the safety on, and then safety off. And it is stiff. It'll probably loosen up over time. One of the things though is that safety hole that I drilled, that was only one time I drilled it, and again, if I had to do it again, I would drill one side and then obviously a little bit smaller, line it up and put it in. So that went in there. Let me see if I can do a quick mag test for this, so you can see how well it drops free. and then we'll mate it to the upper, and we'll go from there. So let's see here. I'm going to flip you around here, see if you can see this real quick. So, all right, so here we go. We got it in here. You just click it in, and if you can see, I mean, it's sturdy. This is not shaking or anything, and I'm a real stickler for that, because if it feels like crap, it is crap. So you got to make sure everything mates real well with it. Real good, dropped, no problem. So back in, drop, no issue. And again, this is the only one that I have for it. Let me show you this since I have a free hand. If I click it and release, you're going to hear click, and then that's when it releases. So that's the question with that one again with it. So, all right. So now the question is how does it mate to the upper? Very important. And this is where my concern was, because again, I like something that's tight and sturdy, okay? If it's going to be loose and it's going to feel weird, you're not going to feel comfortable with it. And that's the whole idea with it. I don't want crap when I build it. I'm okay with sacrificing maybe some of the aesthetics with it, but I want to see, I want everything to feel tight, and I want to feel like if I'm running around or if I want to dive in it, or you know what I'm saying. You want to make sure it functions well. It feels well when you're using it. So the holes aren't tight. I'm just still a noob at what the heck I'm doing here with this. If you can see this, let me show you this real quick. No, let me just put this back in for a second. And feel free to fast forward. I don't really care. But if you're listening, you're going to listen to every dang word I have to say. Alright, so this is down there. So that's clipped in there. And let me see if I can get this one in real quick. The top one is tight. The bottom one is good. This one's a little bit tight with it. And I don't know why, too, because it slides in really well into both pieces. So let me see if I can get this in again real quick. Come on. There it goes. Alright, so that's in. I'm just going to tap it all the way through. Boom. Okay. Alright. This thing is sturdy. I mean, the mate is perfect on there. I mean, there's no issues with it. You're going to run around and you're not even going to know it. This is tighter than my Colt lower fits to the Colt upper. So I'm real impressed with it. Real impressed with that. Listen, this was a blend unit that I got, and it was 20, 25 bucks or whatever the case was. For 20, 25 bucks, you're not going to beat this. I mean, it is great. If it was $100, I wouldn't do it. If it's $80 for full price one, it's not worth it, guys. I got a blend Aero Precision aluminum for 50 bucks, and then I had it shipped. I think it was like total cost shipped and everything was plus FFL fee was like $110. Get that. If he's dropping the prices down to $40 or something like that, then it's worthwhile. I do not recommend going with the 80% polymer just because of the screw-ups. And I'm sure in the aluminums you're going to have the same things. But you got to think about the price with it. What are you paying for this versus a finished one? The finished one is going to be factory specs, and you're not going to screw it up. Now, if you want a project, a fun project, or you are in a state where you're having some issues with you can't have certain guns or anything like that, or you just want to have some firearms that are not registered, that are legal, great option, absolute great option. You know, fantastic right here. I have no qualms about this. Once this is Duracoated and I have obviously the nail issue resolved and I have it all cleaned up, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between two if I threw it down there. Now, when we go to the range and we fire it, that'll be the ultimate test with it. But however, as far as the functionality and how everything just holds together, I mean, it's great. I don't see any issue with it whatsoever. I wish I had a buffer tube on here so we could try it. But like I said, I mean, if we put this in here and then we just release the mag, I mean, it's going to drop out. I don't want it to fall on my table. It is solid. So I'm really impressed with that. It feels really good in the hand. It doesn't feel loose. This thing wrapped around, this is my own little, I didn't feel like buying the quad rail yet, and I wanted one of these things, so I kind of mess with that, but whatever. So anyway, if you can get back to me with the trigger issue, though, that is a big question for it. If you know what you're doing and you take it like I tell you, drill one side first, fit it, drill the other, no issues. It'll fit awesome. If you drill it all first and then try to fit things, you're going to have issues with it. So I absolutely recommend, if you're going to do that, to, like I said, listen to what I said and drill one side, fit it, and then drill the other. I hope this helped out for you. Again, please get back to me with the trigger question if you have that answer. Thanks a lot.